Hi, welcome to Barcart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about The Witch of Prague by J.M. Sidorova. The Witch of Prague is the first novel from Homeward Books, a new small press that is in part led by friend of Barcart Bookshelf, Lara Elena Donnelly. We talked about Donnelly's latest novella, also set in Eastern Europe, as is The Witch of Prague, No Such Thing as Duty, at the beginning of the year, and I have been so looking forward to talking about The Witch of Prague and the super cool things that Homeward Books is doing. They're doing books that are sort of genre-bending, that are speculative, but only just so, weird little books that you're not going to find coming out of a lot of other presses. And The Witch of Prague really sets the tone, I think, for the press in some exciting ways. So huge thank you to them for sending me this review copy that exists even before the cover, and we'll show off the cover after a bit as well, when you can find this, wherever books are sold. But as I've said, The Witch of Prague is a sort of genre-bending novel. It is probably one of the most realist, if not the most realist, novel that we've talked about here on Barcart Bookshelf. The magic of it is this sort of just on the edge of perception and this sort of almost psychosomatic quality. Is it all in the character's head? It's the story of Alicia Hovanova, a young woman who has this ambition to be a typist in late 1967, early 1968 Czechoslovakia, so communist Czechoslovakia. And so we're here behind the Iron Curtain at what is a sort of pivotal moment for Czechoslovakia, and her role stepping into that and coming into herself. It is this sort of Bildungsroman journey into growing up and being the self and becoming this sort of witch of Prague. And early on in the novel, she meets a woman, Pani Agatha, Mrs. Agatha, who is giving lessons in typistry and being a typist. And Elisa comes and accepts lessons from this woman. She's sort of drawn in as her apprentice and steps into the sort of role of claiming power for herself and the sort of soft power of espionage and of knowing who to talk to at the right time. Agatha has been this sort of fixer for a lot of people in her community. She has favors that she can call upon. She has power that she exerts in the world, and it has this almost magical quality, but it's also something that could just be a force of personality. And we've got this real sort of playfulness and gauzy quality to it. Really a deep sense of place and a deep sense of the uncanny, even as you could read it as a sort of thriller, conspiracy, sort of espionage novel. And the sort of most magical element of it comes in the name of what will be our drink, the tapestry. So Agatha has this tapestry behind her bed, and it is a series of panels depicting a unicorn hunt, and it is from this that she derives sort of her power. This is how it's understood that she derives her power, and so it makes its way through the world, and the panels seem to shift around in this sort of dreamlike way as Alicia comes into her own power and steps into the world of government and administrative assistantship and the sort of power that comes from being the typist, the person who has control over what's said, and the person around whom, you know, more powerful people are perhaps indiscreet in what they say, that sort of thing. It's a really charming, thoughtful novel. It was one that I read, you know, the first 50 or so pages, and then the next day I read the next 200 pages. Like, I just want to sit and I want to get it in front of my eyeballs. It's a really special sort of book, and not something that I have often the opportunity to encounter. And so, of course, we had to have our drink. As I said, it is the Tapestry, and it takes its name from this tapestry, this unicorn hunt, that seems to mirror the actions of the real world and shift with those strange dreams and shifting panels, as I've said. We're going to begin with 1.5 ounces of Slivovitz. This is an Eastern European plum brandy. The Slivovitz that I am using today is actually a Czech Slivovitz, are Jelenik, and so really nice, sort of fruity, a little bit harsh, a little bit rough, but that wonderful aroma of plums and rich fruit. It's really aromatic. It's just wonderful to have a breath of the Slivovitz. And to that, we will add 3/4 ounce of port, a nice, rich, sort of dessert wine, dark, fruity again. We're playing with a lot of these dark and fruit flavors, this richness, this depth, and again, some of the drinks that Alicia enjoys over the course of the novel as well. We'll add 1/2 ounce of dark creme de cacao, so some nice dark chocolate, again, rich fruity notes. We have a chocolate bunny rabbit that we see in the novel, in this metaphor of the hunt for stags and the hunt for hares, and what it is to be in companionship, in alliance with other people, in solidarity, and what it is to go after your own smaller goals alone, and what are the trade-offs of those decisions. It's, again, a very thoughtful, very erudite novel, while being this, like, fun thriller espionage element as well. We'll add 1/4 ounce of honey syrup, just to bring a little bit of greater texture to our tapestry, because, again, all of these other ingredients, they do have that ethanol, they do have that alcohol bite to them, and so even when we have slightly sweeter things like the port or the creme de cacao, they're still going to have that thinness of an ethanol-based ingredient, as opposed to the honey syrup we add just a little bit of to add that greater density, that greater texture and mouthfeel to our drink. And then, because this is sort of bitter and difficult to deal with, we'll add a couple of dashes of aromatic bitters, using some Angostura today, the granddaddy of the bitters world. Those baking spice notes, really warming spices, but also that drying mouthfeel of a bitters. Add our ice. We always add our ice last, because you never know when there's going to be a student march or a problem with your like evil general boss, or a strange dream of medieval hunts that will distract you, and you wouldn't want to come back to a watery cocktail, certainly not. So give that a stir. Lovely. Perfect. And strain into a stemmed cocktail glass. Perfect. Whoop. Right up the edge. And there you have it. This is the tapestry inspired by The Witch of Prague by J.M. Sidorova. The Witch of Prague is available today. Again, a huge thank you to Homeward Books for sending me this one. I had such a great time with it. I am so happy to raise a glass to the inauguration of this new press. Really exciting things from them. We've got a link to snag it in the description down below, as well as a link to purchase my book, Cocktails and Consoles, and to pre-order the Sword and Sorcery anthology that I have a short story in from Neon Hemlock Press, Shatter the Sun. Those are all down in the description below, as well as links to Blue Sky and Instagram, where there is always a written version of today's recipe. Try the drink, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that like button. It makes me so happy when you do. Subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. We've got some great books we're going to be talking about in the weeks and months ahead. And until next time, Prost.